Hey, welcome back. I'm Shrike. This new gacha game just came out of nowhere and took the community by storm. And to be honest, after playing for this long, I think it's almost perfect. Watch till the end to find out my one big problem with it though. It's called Sword of Convalaria, and it's got a tactical grid-like combat you've seen in games like Final Fantasy Tactics, Suikoden Tactics, Tactics Ogre, okay, well basically any game with tactics in the name, all wrapped up in a gacha jacket like Summoner's War, complete with a map-based story progression system, a tower ascending endgame, and an arena mode with real-time arena coming soon, and even copies the wind, water, fire, and light-dark elements, even though they call it something else. If you're not familiar with gacha games, they're free games where you acquire characters through a lottery system and in-game purchases are pushed super hard. But you can very easily play most of them without spending a dime, especially in this one since they've been very generous with rewards and even guarantee you a 5-star or legendary SSR or whatever you want to call it after 30 summon on a particular banner. One of the most unique things about SOC is that it has 2 story modes, and one doesn't require energy, called endurance in this game. So when you run out of endurance, you still have things to do. The combat system is fantastic if you like turn-based grid-like. Each character has skills you can unlock through branching skill trees, and so you could have the same character as your friend, but they could be built completely differently. I think that especially with Arena, this really adds a welcomed level of complexity. You may see the enemy's team, but you don't know how they're built. The music, I should mention, was composed by this guy, who apparently did Final Fantasy Tactics as well, and it's really well done. Each game mode sounds unique, and even in the story it will change to match the mood of the scenes. The UI is great too. You've got big buttons, clearly marked and easy to navigate, and when you've got a reward somewhere you can easily see it and navigate to it with at most 2 clicks. Very impressive. Next up is the pity system. Pity is how many times you can summon and miss out on a legendary before the game takes pity on you and gives you one. This one's pretty high comparatively. Each banner has 2 characters, and the pity is 90 to get one of them. So if you're really unlucky, it might take you 180 summons, but you will be guaranteed your character of choice on the 180th. It isn't the best pity I've seen, not by a long shot, but Summoner's War doesn't even have a pity system, so it's still a win in my book. Let's see, I covered combat, story progression, endgame, music, pity system, and UI. What's left? Right. I saved the best, or worst, for last. The art direction. How to say these characters were made by AI without saying these characters were made by AI. This game very much suffers from painfully boring character designs. You've got armored human with weapon, and armored human with weapon, and armored human with a weapon, and oh, this one's a human with armor and a weapon. And I know that it's partly the fault of the faction systems that many of these characters look identical, but it's a faction system the devs chose to add. Besides, they could still have made them visually unique, even though they're in the same club. These fellas don't all need the same color palette and to have their faces covered, for instance. And regardless of faction, they all just seem like characters you'd see in an old classical Renaissance painting. Artistically speaking, very pretty, don't get me wrong. But for a game, especially one that wants people to spend money to get their characters, then you need to at least make your top tier 5-star legendary characters impressive. This doesn't look like a 5-star. And I wouldn't pay money for her. And she's apparently super busted, one of the strongest characters in the game. In my opinion, that doesn't matter though if the art doesn't reflect that. There are some outliers, and they're in fact my favorite characters in the game, and I was even lucky enough to have pulled one such unit. But going back to Summoner's War, you've got anything from wolves and dragons to jesters and exotic dancers, and even when they had human with armor and weapon, they found a way to make them unique. And then there's the lack of awakenings. In Summoner's War, each character had a second version with a unique appearance and name. SOC doesn't, but they do have unlockable skins for many of the characters upon ranking them all the way up, which is very cool. SOC does have 2 things that Summoner's War does not, in terms of characters. One is a bond system. As your bond increases with a character, its performance in battle also improves. The second may be my favorite part of the game from a quality of life standpoint. You don't need to get lucky and summon duplicates to upgrade your characters to star them up. You can farm shards of them daily, which makes it a realistic possibility that a free-to-play player could actually get a max star legendary, something that's all but impossible in other gachas. So in closing, I definitely recommend this game to anyone who doesn't have a gambling problem. If you can avoid the temptation to spend, then you've got a free game with over 100 hours of content currently. And if you do want to spend, I recommend only spending what you would have been willing to spend on the game itself up front. For me, I would have spent $15 on it, so I bought the Battle Pass to help my progression. Never spend money you don't have though, don't go into debt for a video game, but absolutely give this game a try if you like this type of game. I've been having a blast with it. Subscribe so you don't miss the next Sword of Convalaria video. Thanks for watching.